Good afternoon, grunts and everybody else. We are live for the first time actually on this channel. We've got Eric from Coleman Outdoors and Bill from Stokermatic. So they were the first contestants in the first grunt proof survival games, and we're doing a live Q&A. So yeah, do you guys want to say hey, make sure everybody you go check out their channels first of all.
Yeah, that's a definite. You need to go check out our channels.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to get right into it. I got a list of questions from a YouTube post I made. And then everybody else we'll see trickling in the comments down there. And we'll pull up questions from that later. So first, we got Justin. He says, now that you've had time to ponder the games, would you do anything different? So either one of y'all, somebody goes first, doesn't matter.
Go ahead, Bill. Would you do anything different? I mean, you won both, but I wondered what your answer might be on this one.
Well, I think, from my perspective, if you do something different, then the games are just going to turn out different in some ways. So while there may be some times I may would have wanted to move or not move or use some perks or not use some perks, the games being under the control of what they are, it is what it is. So no, I wouldn't do anything different.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured your answer might be, again, just because you won. But for myself, I've thought a lot about it over the last few months. That I know I shared this before, either in posts or in conversation with you guys. That is, I would have been a little bit more patient, taken my time, relaxed. I even had used the term fight or flight. Had kicked in right off the bat. And so, at least initially when I was the survivalist, but I definitely would have slowed down a bit. I think I might have listened a little bit more to my instincts. I know that we had support from both Randall and Jeff and Roy. I think my instincts might have taken me. I don't know. It was a whole new experience for me, so it's hard to say what I'd do differently. Yeah.
Yeah. On my end, yeah, I've got a notebook of stuff to do better. So it was really cool to see you guys actually experience us. Like, Bill knows this in the Army. You plan all this stuff, and until you actually hit the ground, it's it's up in the air how it's actually going to go. So what was cool was I couldn't show it in the last episode. We had a really good chat by the fire and everything, and got to go through stuff. So next time we'll shoot that. Yeah, but that's why we're doing this, to let everybody kind of hear how you guys felt about stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So then we got.
Let me just add one other thing that I had thought about too. Sorry, Randall, I won't take too long, but anybody that's first getting into camping or even backpacking, the one thing that you learn after several trips is what you don't need or what you don't need to do, because as a new novice to a sport, you think, I need to bring this. I need to bring 5 liters of water for a 10-mile hike flat. And then you realize after that 10 miles, you didn't need that much. And I think I'm kind of in that stage as a grunt proof survivalist and a non-military person. It's totally new to me, but yeah, there are definitely things that kind of made that analogy to myself thinking about it.
Yeah, there's a couple questions that are gonna take us a little more into that direction of your side of it, Eric. Okay. And then some stuff I picked up, but yeah. So Survival Northman says, what was the first thing you thought of when you were asked to take part in the survival games? And we kind of covered this in our like, what do you call warming up to it when I was putting up some videos, but I'm assuming he's thinking about like what, because you guys really didn't know what to prepare for. I tried to send you a whole bunch of information, but you really, at the end of the day, didn't know you were getting into. That's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah, I can agree with that for me.
So, Bill, you got something?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, because we started talking, and my initial input to you was, man, I'll help you come down and run the games, if that's what you need. And it just kind of evolved into, hey, man, how about just do it? And my initial thought and impression was and is, it's just a good opportunity to get out, because when you're filming stuff like on your own, whether you're out hiking, backpacking, or doing some sort of instructional gear review, like you own everything about the finished product that somebody's going to see out in public. So, if I make a mistake, I can cut that mistake out. Something like this, there is no hiding anything. It's just you are executing and doing all the things that you're either good at or not good at, and chips just kind of fall where they may. So that was the biggest thing I appreciated about it from the front end.
Yeah, I saw a comment on one of the premieres. People were saying we should do some live stuff while we're out there. And I actually had some ideas I was kicking around to figure out how to do that. The problem is the internet connection out there. So I guess people think you have internet everywhere, but that's kind of one of the beauties of that place is you are disconnected. But we do have the Wi-Fi up there at the home base, so we might figure out a way to work that in later, do some live stuff. But live streaming an event like that, yeah, that'd be a nightmare.
We'll just have to wait for Starlink to be fully in effect.
Right. If I could get Elon Musk to even talk to me, because he hooked the military up with that stuff. So it's like, maybe one day, but that would be cool. You could have people vote on stuff and say stuff. I mean, you might end up getting like a dildo for your supply drop, but if the viewers want to decide that stuff.
It'd be modern gladiator games. Randall's out there with his thumb like this. It's either kill him or free him or whatever the thumbs up is, right?
Yeah. All right. So Mike C says, okay, this is for me and Bill, but did you guys surf together? And Bill, you can answer it how you want. So you can go first. Did we lose Bill?
Is there a delay on you, Bill?
I think we're losing him. Okay, well, the short answer is no. But to me, anybody that puts on the uniform, in a sense, we all serve together. So let me, Bill, can you hear us at least?
Bill, give us the thumbs up if you can hear.
There he is.
Oh, maybe he's got a lag of some kind.
Yeah, you're coming in stronger. Yeah, no, I would say the same thing. I mean, we've prior to never met in person or served in the same unit or anything, but there's a brotherhood that exists. So,
yeah. Short answer was, I think he was just wondering if we knew each other. It's like
right.
When I go home to my family and they're like, "Oh, you're in the army in Germany. Do you know so and so? They're in Grafenwehr on the other side of the country." and at the time, I'm like, "There's like 200,000 of us here. No, we don't all know each other."
You get the same thing living in LA. Oh, I know.
Mike, but all right. So Marcus asks, "How did Eric feel when he got captured?"
Honestly, it was a blast. I mean, it's not real life. I didn't ever fear for my life. There was never a time that I was scared. I'm comfortable with being in the woods. It was like playing a real live video game, and the entire experience was so much fun and insightful on how to just survive in that type of situation as a backpacker. I'm not running from somebody. I'm trying to get to something. But yeah, I was not disappointed. I wasn't sad. In fact, I had the biggest grin on my face, I'm sure, when Bill captured me. So totally okay with the outcome. Just feel super blessed to have been part of something so fun. So no sadness whatsoever. It was cool.
Okay, so we're gonna dive deep in that one because I have some thoughts on that.
Okay.
Everybody else, if you have questions, you can we'll try to circle back to them, but if not, just ask it again later. I see the chat's rolling down there, but I wanted to address this comment about dogs tracking. So that's definitely something that I considered because we do have dogs out there, but you know, it's kind of like handing you guys weapons to go out with. There's already an elevated risk out there. And I know people get comfortable watching Hollywood shows where you can get away with all kinds of stuff because most of it's fake.
Yeah.
You know, but we will try to work something like that in there. Like if we do any actual training out there, organized training, we'll work it in there because we dealt with dogs in my little SERE portion I did, and that was really fun. And it's good training, but it's also good for people to get to see how that works because if you have a good dog that could do scent, like actually on the ground and in the air, you're almost screwed. Like if you don't ambush that team, you will get caught, period. So yeah, it's something I'd like to try to work out. I did consult legal people for all of this. And, you know, there was plenty of things where I was like, what's my risk look like for this? And they're like, yeah, you probably get sued if something goes wrong or whatever. So you know that we had the liability waivers, but you know, if I kill one of you guys, somebody gets the right lawyer, none of that matters.
Yeah, waiver only goes so far.
Right, especially if it's something I did stupid on my end, you know. So
Yeah.
like with the guns thing. All right, but then back to the last question. You know, you guys saw like the great majority of the feedback was positive on all this, and I thought it was really cool to watch the series live with everybody. You know, you're always going to have trolls and knuckleheads down there, but I was kind of thrown off by some of the comments about you, Eric, and I was only addressing it because they were guys I had actually spoken with a lot, like either in the comments or in messages, and I was kind of surprised that they were showing their ignorance there. So you know, because usually with a troll, you read the first couple words and it's like, all right, dude, you've never been in the woods, so you move on.
Yeah.
But I'll just say for the people that, you know, this is all new. Like you can watch any survival show. You can watch people running around naked, drinking their own pee. For us, for anybody to beat the regular survival stuff at this point, we got to have cannibalism, you know? So none of that was what we were trying to do. Like I just wanted to add the other components of SERE. Most people focus on the fieldcraft part. That's just one. So I thought I did a good job mentioning it in the video, but I'll count that as my fail. Just the fact that you made it as long as you did.
Yeah.
That was really impressive. And everybody else agreed, was like, holy crap, this guy killed it, especially with the issues you ran into and some of the issues we put onto you. So, I mean, really just for people who don't understand this stuff, like Eric made 2 crucial mistakes. And in about 8 hours and 40 minutes, that's nothing. Bill made mistakes. Like I would have made mistakes, even though it's my home turf. It's like you do stuff like that in the woods, and just the fact that it was just those 2 at the end that got him caught. That's all it was. But
yeah, for sure.
You know, and you could have escaped that. You could have recovered. It just didn't work out that way. Like you just were stuck. And if I mentioned it in the episode, if you would have jumped up and started sprinting away, Bill had you, you know, so
yeah, for sure.
You know, it's just, yeah, but two critical mistakes in 8 hours. That's impressive either way for anybody.
I think really where I was at mentally at the end of the day was I was more mentally tired than I was physically. Maybe that's hard to really kind of make sense, but I didn't give up by any means, but and it's hard to see in the series how much time I actually spent fighting that manzanita and that brush, because it was incredibly thick. And where I was at, where I set up my fire and my shelter, was literally probably, what would you say, 50 yards from where I was dropped, maybe a little bit longer. I don't know. You tell me, Randall. It was so close to where I started the day at. It was demoralizing. And so it's like, where do I go from here? So anyways, but it was, again, you're right, critical mistakes, but I wouldn't do it again that way. And I wouldn't spend as much time fighting the manzanita. That's one thing that I thought a lot about too.
Yeah, and I think the physical component, that is what I really wanted to bring home with this stuff, because whether the entire series flops and it sucks, at least we could show people that what they see for survival on YouTube and bugging out, it's, if you're being hunted or you just cannot follow a trail up, it's a whole other freaking physical element. And so I'd seen comments where people are like, well, you brought a backpacker out there, what do you expect? And so that tells me they didn't pay attention in any of the trailers I put up and teasers, because you're not just a backpacker, you have all kinds of experience. And
for sure,
plus you are using maps and compasses when you're out there backpacking. Like, what do they think these people do? I mean, I give backpackers shit, but it's more for fun. I'm not downing their experience, but yeah, like I said, usually stuff like that, it's like, whatever, you never go in the woods. But some of these guys I had talked with, and I was like, what, really? Like you come climb these hills, man, see if you make it 8 hours.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I think we all do that to some extent when we're watching a show, even if it's Survivor or Big Brother or whatever kind of silly reality show. You've got your armchair quarterbacks, and we've all done it at some point, but it's a lot different when you're out there. And I'm not making excuses, because I can hike off trail, that's fine. But where we were at was, I wouldn't say unlike anywhere I've ever been, but I've never gone off trail and stuff like that, because it's technically stupid. So anyways, you're not going to get very far through that. But it was a great experience. Learned a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you could be trained in all this stuff and all that. It doesn't really matter. Like, soldiers, like, just on a basic level, we are not survival dudes. We're far from it. I learned more in the woods after I got out and started doing my own thing that I did in the Army. Like, I did do in my sniper course, we did some SERE stuff, but I'm sure Bill can attest to this too. Like, in an Army setting, it's really hard to, get to go out there and screw around. Like, we have some mountain warfare training and all that. It's all cool stuff, but it's still under the Army nanny state. I'll say it. It's like keeping guys safe and all that trumps everything else. And in the Army, they're kind of scared of everything these days. So,
Yeah, no, it's definitely tough to put together, actual tough and realistic training. Even though we use those words all the time, training should be tough and realistic and stuff. But and there's a larger task that you're trying to get after, and then putting in the piece of, like you said, being a little risk averse. Yellow PT belts. When you go take a shower. I mean,
so
you gotta have a PT belt.
Did they get rid of that yet with the new PT uniform?
Depends on where you're at, and some roads, if they're closed for running, you don't need to wear one. And then if you go on a road that's not typically, you still need to wear a PT belt.
Dude, at Bagram, everybody has to wear a PT belt all the time if it's dark, and it was. I mean, our base in Ramadi, there was a lot of blackout driving going on, and that's you have all your lights off, and they're driving with their night vision and this crappy little beam that comes out of the truck.
Oh my gosh.
And soldiers would get run over, and it's like, okay, it's dark, but you can hear a Humvee coming. Like, why are you in front of a moving vehicle at night when the guy's in blackout drive? It's like,
Jeez.
That's why I like to call the Army the kindergarten for men, because it's like, sucks when soldiers get run over or hurt for non-combat stuff, but it's like we need some quality assurance, you know, like if you're going to walk in front of a truck at night, maybe you should not be serving. I don't know. Or there's something else, the recruiter and basic training missed. I mean, I know I'd be wildly unpopular for saying stuff like that in the Army. Yeah.
Wait, so are you saying they don't have an IQ test as part of the application process to join the Army?
Yeah, you have the ASFAB, and there's a minimum. Like they weed out.
Okay, there
you know, the U.S. military was the first that implemented that. I don't remember when, but I remember we were the first ones to say, okay, we can't have just pure like useless people, but you know, I mean, you could show up drunk and pass that, you know, and you can get dumber later. I mean, yeah, I don't get it, man. So, Bill, you can take this next question. You see that one up on the screen? I think it shows it to you guys.
Let's see. Pro games. When you think about bugging out, evading, YouTube experts. I got rain all over this.
Oh, I can. You want me to read it for you? Yeah, it says loosely connected to the survival games. What do you think about bugging out, evading during night? And it says all YouTube experts act like all emergencies happen in the morning. True.
Yeah. So, I mean, situation dictates, as it does with everything. But in general, if you have the ability to control your movement and you can move at night, like there's obvious benefits to that as opposed to during the day when it comes to security and your routes and things. But there's also the disadvantage of that risk that you're accepting as well. So I've got no qualms about moving at night or during the day. It's just, you know, keeping your head on and dealing with what you come across.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, it's we say MET-TC, it's all MET-TC. So situation dictates that survival quiz I put up on Instagram for fun. I was mainly just looking to see if everybody would get the third option and ask a question and say, what time of the year is it? Or where am I?
Right.
You know, so it's, yeah. And if we include Eric's capture in that, that's one thing I want to try to do a better job at is showing. I mean, I showed the terrain and drone shots and all that, but if I would have been able to show exactly what it looked like where Eric was in the daylight, you know, that I think that would have helped people understand why he couldn't just like bug out of there because he was like Eric was on like a hill slope, and he, you know, there's dead trees and just the same crap he dealt with during the day all around him. Like you saw, Bill, it was freaking pretty tough for us to walk in on him.
Mm-hmm.
Just to find him.
On that,
I was like, okay, go ahead.
Quick, yeah, just real quick on that same note. During my event as a survivor, like there's a portion of, you know, running through and having to move extremely slow because of some of the dead brush that's just all over the ground. But once I hit that pine forest, I was able to make a lot of good ground up because I wasn't making any noise at all. So, you know, just again, you know, going back to those mission variables of the mission, the enemy terrain, troop time, and civil consideration. So it all has an impact.
Yeah, you definitely covered a lot of ground once it got dark, and you were in better terrain because you had gotten up on that spur. But I did mention it. I'll beat it up if something like that happens again. But Eric was screwed. Like it could have been if it would have been me, it would have just been down to can Bill outrun me or can I outrun Bill and can I do it in the pitch black without killing myself because. You know, Eric, you knew you couldn't get on the roads, or you could have tried, but we were sitting right there with the quad. You know, it's stupid. So yeah, it's like, plus, you know, if we're thinking real world stuff, you got to think about the weather. If you want to be moving around during the day, when it's like 150 degrees, that would be a consideration. It might be easier to move at night, might be easier to sleep during the day, you know, so yeah. All right, so we're also streaming on Facebook, so I'm not looking at questions on Facebook. So just in case anybody is there, you're talking to nobody. So if you want to ask a question, go over to the YouTube and type it in there. All right, let's see. Okay, so looking back on it, oh, wait. Yeah, we did that one. Okay, yeah, well, I got confused. Looking back on it, what did you do to prepare for these, if you prepared at all, mentally or physically? And then I'm just going to add in there, if you didn't prepare at all, what would you prepare for, or what would you tell somebody else that you would prepare for something like this?
You want to take that, Eric?
Yeah, sure. I was going to let you go first, but I'd say I really didn't prepare for anything other than, I watched some videos on YouTube on the survival stuff, but I didn't stop doing what I normally do, and that is, exercise, in terms of hiking and several walks or quasi jogs at the end of the day in the evening, because I've got, fortunately, living in the northern LA County area, I've got mountains right behind me, and I go up there all the time and when I need a quick hike. But that kept me in good physical shape. I did let myself slip, I hate to say it, during pretty much all of COVID. If not the last year, I kind of did what I told people I angry ate. I was, irritated with the situation we were in. Don't want to go down a political rabbit hole right now, but for lack of a better way of describing, I was just irritable, and food is something I like to help cope with my emotions. And so kind of just let myself go. So I had a little bit of extra weight on me during that game. And then a little extra hair, which is sort of I don't know, maybe midlife crisis thing for me to grow my hair out. As you can see, it's no longer long, and that's not a knock on anybody with long hair, but it's not something I ever had long hair for. So,
Hippies.
Yeah. Just, again, nothing, no special preparation other than just keeping myself physically, my strength and my endurance up. And again, the extra weight didn't help going into it, but got to turn that leaf over here because it's not fun having an extra 50 pounds on hiking unless it's on your back in a rucksack. So
you were still fit though, like I think only people that get outside and do stuff understand that there's aesthetics and actual fitness. Like most soldiers we look like fetuses, but put some gear on them, send them up a hill, and they'll impress you. So the way you handle the terrain, especially going up and down that one spur over and over and all that, it's like So
and over,
that's my bad, man. If anybody thought you weren't fit enough to be out there, like that's on me. I didn't show it enough. So it's another reason that I'm planning to do more episodes later. So just to show a lot more stuff that I thought might have been boring, but needs to be put out there. So Bill, what you got?
For myself, it's been really since the mid 90s since I've really spent any time in California, and most of that was down at Camp Pendleton and in San Diego. So my preparation was trying to get more acclimated to what I could expect of the area, whether it was the terrain, the vegetation, what was the light data going to be like for that specific time of year, looking at life and things that I just may encounter or may not encounter. Like there was I spent about 5 minutes preparing I may take down there. I had to turn that off because there was no, for me, take anything down there with me. A, I'm flying, so I can't take my stuff anyways. And I knew that B, I was going to be given everything that I was going to have to go into the games with. So there was no real, PCCs on it like that. So it was really just more getting training kind of figured out.
Was it a bit of an advantage when it came to being able to take stuff up that I needed to take?
Yeah, you were on a home turf advantage too. Like you mentioned the terrain and the weather, because it's dry out there. And dude, we can't host this in the summer because there will be no fire, and it would be tough to use the vehicles out there. And also the heat exhaustion, it's so freaking bad. And then the dust, like Bill, you remember the moon dust downrange that just got everywhere and just you inhaled it. And being a gunner, like when I drive around out there in the summer on the ATVs, I look like, especially if I've been behind somebody else on a quad, I look like I was a gunner in downrange because I'm just caked. It's bad. So yeah, I mentioned in I think the intros that it was like very, the terrain was harsh, but also the weather, because it's not like we don't get like 10 feet of snow and live in that for months, but it's very extreme. I think it's just because it's low enough to be hot as hell in the summer.
Oh yeah.
But it's just high enough to get you just freak blizzards like out of nowhere.
You can get snow in July, maybe not at your level. I mean, because I don't know. You guys are only around 3,500 feet at your highest. Is that, or is it lower than that?
Yeah, it's right. Yeah, the highest point is about 3,500.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I've been up in the even higher in the Sierras there in July and June, and you can be hiking on a trail at 8,000, 9,000 feet, and it's 75, 80 degrees. And that's a little extreme, but then the next day you could have, one of those spring storms or summer storms roll in and get some hail and some ice on you, and you have lightning all around you. So at 3,500 feet, it's going to be pretty warm in the summertime. And like you said, you can get showered on, and I don't know, heat makes a big difference, I'm sure, in what you can and can't do for the games. Just my guess.
Yeah, I want to try a real winter edition with snow, because that'll make tracking very interesting and all that. Water, we don't have to give them water. That's another thing I saw somebody complaining about, was that we gave you guys food and water.
Holy hell.
Like, yeah, I mean, well, to be honest, it's when people think survival, like they want to see you digging up moss to get your water and all, and drinking your own pee and all that crap. And so I think I did mention in one of the episodes, I can't remember how I put it though. I think it was when Bill was doing his the tasks. So like there was some issues where we could not do pure survival stuff because there's one place to get water in that area besides making you guys dig down hardcore, which kind of hard to do when you're evading an enemy, right? So
yeah.
That creek where we dropped one of you guys off, it was bone dry. So
yeah,
we had to give you something, and then we did the refits every now and then, so you weren't carrying like a gallon of water with you. And then like food, yeah, we could make guys hunt, but then we have to do it in the hunting season, and then we again have to worry about the risk of the hunter getting shot. So yeah, the way I put it in the video was like, anytime we had a toss up between survival or evasion, we leaned heavily on evasion because everybody has seen survival. We don't need people out there eating their own poop and all that. We don't need guys digging down to get water and filter it and all that crap, because it would be over within 5 minutes. It's like with all the intel updates and everything. So yeah, I figured I'd throw that out there. And like I did joke about the measly power bars, because you guys were like, yay, because I got the crappiest, cheapest freaking ones, at the store, just so you weren't getting like gourmet food.
Yeah.
Bill got like some that were smashed already from us.
I think that folks might want to see something more like the TV show Alone, if that's where they're telling you need to change the format of the game. And I don't think that's ever been, I mean, the impressions I've ever gotten from you discussing this over the last 6 months is that it wasn't going to be an alone type survival game. It's basically an evasion game. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It's
I know
chase for adults.
Yeah.
I mean, with cool toys and I guess big boy danger, because somebody did ask me in a message if any of you guys were worried about wildlife. So we can, I figured I would save it for this so you guys can cover that. Because I mean, I know how you guys felt about that, but I don't think other people knew if you guys were that comfortable out there or not.
Go ahead, Bill. I took the last question first.
Yeah, no, I wasn't overly concerned. I mean, if it was a different part of the country, like maybe things like grizzly bears would have been a concern. But with where we were at and knowing that the wildlife that's out there, some of it, of course, will kill you. I really have no qualms concerns any more than I do running around up here in the Pacific Northwest. Like, there's plenty of wildlife out here. Me and Riggs came across a good bobcat the other day, and he scared the shit out of it off, and it's fine. Like, animals really don't want to mess with you, especially when you're not near a park. If you're near a national park, things get way different because they're a lot more used to people. But when you're out in more of their natural environment, and they're not used to people, like, they will move away from you just as quick as you'll move away.
Yeah, I totally agree with Bill. Same for me. I'm out in the outdoors enough to know black bears. That's all we've got down here in terms of big type bears. They are the sketchiest, scared big animal out there. They see you, they run, and that's fairly rare that you even see them. I'm not saying that black bears don't attack folks, but I mean, they're opportunists. They're going to go where the trash cans are without the lid lockers so that they can go get some free food. They're not snacking on me. I've seen bobcats, and again, same thing. They're trying to get away from you. I've never seen a mountain lion, but I hike in plenty of places where you've got the mountain lion warnings. In fact, the only time I've ever seen mountain lion in San Fernando Valley or the Ventura, North Los Angeles County is a couple of dead mountain lions on the median on the 118. Yeah, it's not anything to worry about. And people think rattlesnakes and they crap themselves. And it's like anytime I've ever come across a rattlesnake, which is fairly rare, I come across more gopher snakes and stuff, and maybe even the occasional king snake, but they're running from you because you are the predator for them. And so the only reason they're going to bite you if you step on them and you're not paying attention and they're coiled up in the trail. But it's so rare. People need to take a breath and not worry about animals that aren't likely to hurt you, especially if you leave them alone. I would be a little scared if I came across a live mountain lion. I'm not trying to be cocky or anything, but mountain lion can definitely be a little aggressive, but even then, again, they're mostly nocturnal, and they generally avoid us.
Yeah, that's another thing to mention with people talking about you being out there and not fitting in. Like, your background is you're always out there in some pretty remote areas, and
Sure.
I was telling the guys, Jeff and them that helped me, they're like, okay, well, one guy's an Army dude, so he should be good in the woods, which is a funny assumption because I know plenty of Army guys that you don't want to take into the woods.
Mm-hmm.
But they're like, okay, so what about this Eric guy? I'm like, well, he's a scout guy, he's a backpacker, he's always out there. Oh, okay, cool. So like he's camping all the time out there, and I'm like, yeah. And then I found out you didn't carry. So if there's crazy people watching right now, they might come after you until you upgrade.
Possible.
But then we were talking about it, and like that's hardcore, man, because I'm not really worried about animals either. Like, I've had a couple bear encounters, and it was piece of cake. It was scary because of how close they got, but it was a piece of cake because they couldn't smell me and they didn't happen to see me. As soon as I became a human, they were freaking gone.
Yeah.
But I carry because of sketchy people in the woods, you know, like that. Humans, I go to the woods to get away from humans, and they're the scariest animal to me. I do have to say though, we actually got a couple questions popping up to answer, but one of the guys watching is from the Gulf Coast, not far from where I grew up, and he's like, "You need to host this down here." And dude, I grew up in those woods, not being afraid of them, but going back now, it's like we have stuff like that'll kill you everywhere, you know.
Yeah.
And if you're in any kind of marshy area, like, or if you're trying to gather water, you got alligators to worry about. And they're kind of like mountain lions in the sense where you got to be screwing around their den for them to really be after you, that's on the shore. Usually they put their eggs in the mud. So guess where you're going to gather your water? Probably on the shores. But so that's what I thought about. And I was like, man, we got, you know, going from the Gulf Coast to, you know, screwing around where the games were. The climate is a little more extreme, but there's really nothing to worry about out there besides people.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay, we'll skip that one. Let's check this one out. What about water contaminated with chemicals? Do you use water sources that are near to villages, towns, or cities? And I want to throw my sense in here first, if I can. When I'm in Germany, if I gather water, I'm purifying it and filtering it because there's no true wilderness in Germany anymore. They have little patches of wilderness between cities and villages. So there's no getting away from people. And that's why I do that. There's farmlands everywhere. There's farmland like poop runoff, there's highway runoff. And so the military used to teach us to purify water. I don't know if they teach anything anymore because we have water on trucks everywhere now. But purifying was like something that was taught to us, and then we all learned about fire and all that. But I'm like, I want to filter it too, man, because it's going to get like the stuff you kill out of it too. But I think that's very contrasting against like you guys, because yeah, when I'm in California, I'm carrying a ton of water because I don't know where I can get it, especially in the summer.
That's for sure.
What about like Eric, when you're out, you know, backpackers, you guys are big on not carrying water and just gathering it. So what do you look at?
Well, again, you got to know where you're going to be and where you're going to have water sources. So I'll say this, and I know a lot of backpackers will be like, this guy's an idiot. I've drank out of the streams in the Sierras without filtering. I know you're taking a risk. You could potentially get Giardia. But I've never once ran into anybody that has ever had Giardia. My father-in-law, who's 80 years old, he's been hiking and backpacking in the Sierras since he was 20, 25. He's sort of a stubborn guy when it comes to, I wouldn't say stubborn, but he's set in his ways in some ways. And if you're watching this, Mike, nothing but love for you. But he'll drink out of the streams, and he's never been sick. Now, again, am I completely careless? No, I carry either a Sawyer filter or a Catadine. In fact, I prefer the Catadine filter with a big flexible water bladder thing. So I'll filter it, especially if it's coming out of a stream. I'd say generally you're probably going to be safe, but it's probably better to be safe than sorry. So go ahead and filter. But in a survival situation, you're not going to not drink the water. If you have no way of purifying it with a fire and boiling it, then that I can't tell you the last time I ever purified water with iodine tablets or whatever. It's so much easier to just use a little Sawyer squeeze or Catadine filter. So, but down in the LA area, I've even drank out of the streams in the Angeles forest and never had a problem. But like I said, generally I do try to filter if I've got my filter with me, which is 90% of the time.
Drinking water around the LA area, dude,
it's in the mountains,
you're hardcore, man.
You got to understand, they're
Okay.
coming out of springs. They're coming out of an aquifer, which is the water table. You tell me the only contamination that's going to get is from an animal pooping or peeing in the stream. And again, most of the stuff I do in the Angeles Forest or San Bernardino Forest is a lot of day hikes, and so I'm usually just carrying all my water anyways for day hikes.
Yeah. All right. Bill's probably gonna try to come back in. He's internet sketch city.
Yeah, but I would not drink the water out of the LA River unfiltered. That would be bad.
In downtown LA, you're like gathering it from the street runoff. All the
Yeah, I've seen videos where people will take the muddy water out of a puddle in a construction zone and filter it in their Sawyer or their Catadine or whatever type of MSR filtration. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I trust that, but it looks clean after they filter it. But it's supposed to capture like 99% of viruses or bugs or something like that. So
yeah, I think if you're around a built up area, the big thing is like your metals and stuff like that is a pretty big deal. So that's where your purification only or sterilizing with fire, that might not be the best. All right, Bill's back. Let me open them up.
You want to filter out those heavy metals that might be in there.
Right. So when people choose one method, I can understand why they just go to the filter. And I actually just got one of those Catadine things because I wanted to play with it. Like I was doing the Sawyer stuff and boiling for fun. But I mean, where I'm at, I don't like, if I'm in California, I'm carrying everything because you don't, in the summer when you really need water, you don't know if you can get it. And then in Germany, I don't want to drink the water here. Like if I went to a different area that was high enough, I might. But I mean, dude, there's been wars and deaths on this continent since we know of. So it's like, you don't know what the hell's in the water, man. It's like, at least in America, we haven't had as many deaths, that we know of. It's like, I don't know. So, Bill, what do you say?
Water purification stuff, right? Still, I mean, if I had the option, you're gonna, depending on the water source, like if I'm in or near around a city, if I can maneuver to where I'm upstream of, maybe it's even just a farm, if I can get upstream of that livestock, that's what I'll do to try to get literally some of the shit out of the water. But Eric, just like you, like depending on where I'm at, a lot of my rivers up here are all glacier fed. I've got no qualms if it's moving and it's not stagnant up here. And if I, like, generally speaking, I'm going to at least filter and or purify my water, but I'll drink it. And the odds of getting sick is slim to nil. There are other places where it's a little bit more swampy, a little bit more marshy. And if that's where I'm pulling my water from, well, yeah, of course I'm going to filter it and then I'm going to purify it. But generally speaking, I mean, you can drink a ton of water from a ton of different places, as people do all over the world. And the likelihood of getting sick, it's just how risk averse are you? So knowing what that water source is, and if there's a probability of it being contaminated, then you take appropriate measures and drop some bleach in it, or use some iodine tablets, or use some sort of high dollar filter that you pay $80 just for the filter itself for. Plenty of options. Especially
it's funny you mentioned bleach. Yeah, like there's people that we lose so much information every generation, and there's so many people that don't know you can purify with bleach, and it's cheap and easy. It's like if you're in the South, we knew about this for hurricanes. If you didn't want to have to boil your water all the time, and like I would tell people that, old and young, and they're just like drinking bleach, and then they mentioned like the Trump Corona thing, and it's like, no, yeah, you don't drink bleach, you use it to purify your water, man. It's like, right. I just can't believe like some of the knowledge we lose, something as basic as that. So imagine if a large amount of your population didn't know about that and the grid fails in a populated area. Like, what are you going to do for water, man? Like, if your power's out, you ain't boiling it. Not everybody has a camping stove, I don't know, man. It's weird stuff.
For prepper, I hope preppers know this. I'm assuming they do, but preppers should know that when you store water, you got a 5-gallon jug, several 5-gallon jugs, whatever, you're supposed to add bleach too. Now I forget what the ratio is. It's pretty small, but if you have a 5-gallon, let's say it's 4 tablespoons or 2 tablespoons of bleach to that. So that helps keep the water as clean as possible while it's sitting in storage for a long period of time. But then I think prepper people probably could tell you better than me, but I think you're supposed to rotate that water out every year. So if you got a bunch of water stored, even with that prepped with that little bit of bleach, you're supposed to dump it and refill it every 12 months or something like that. Does that sound familiar to you at all? Have you heard that? I don't know. I've got one.
That's one of those topics where everybody disagrees on. So
got it.
If you need water and that's all you got, I think you're okay. You just purify it again before you drink it. Yeah. But I've heard about the rotation thing. I don't remember if it was a year or not. That seems pretty
soon, but I don't rotate out that often. In fact, like I couldn't say I rotated any of my water out in the last 8 years. It might just be good for washing and flushing the toilet in the event we lose water.
Drink your own pee, man, like the survival shows.
Water World, Kevin Costner.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so this guy is I've been all over Poland, so I love Poland, but I haven't been in the woods in Poland, except for going to the Wolf Slayer. That's right, but that's that's on the trail. That was Hitler's hideout out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Poland is freaking cool, man. And I think in Europe, man, like I did an awesome trip in Austria. Austria is just amazing freaking land. So is Switzerland, but I haven't actually done anything there. But they're both pretty similar with terrain, insane rugged mountains and everything. I mean, it is the Alps, but I think there's some pretty rough wilderness there. Like, I think so. If I can ever escape, I already escaped my family enough, but if I can ever get back down to that area, like if one of you guys ever comes over to Europe, that's probably where I will take you, is go down to the Alps. And you can get there from many different countries. So we'll just pick one and go. We did before Afghanistan, we did a prep with this German ski infantry unit, and they took us up a mountain down there. It was on the Austrian side, but it was like maybe 30 to 45 minutes from Hitler's Eagle's Nest. So pretty cool to be hiking around that area. And we just climbed a mountain for the day. That was our train up. And
that's neat.
He had a backpack on because he's just a German. He was just hiking with us that day. We had our IBAs on. I don't think we wore our helmets and rucks. And it took us 6 hours to climb what he said he makes his unit do in 2 hours. So, so I was like, come on, man. It's, reserve CA unit. That's what you get. But it was a blast either way. Beer. There you go. See, check this out. That's what I wanted to mention, and I forgot. Thanks, Buford. So back in the day, so like Bill, this is where our flasks come in. Back in the day, they drank wine all the time because it was purified water. There's water in any alcoholic drink, and it would hold longer.
That's
and
why all the
get
monks
dysentery and die. Yeah. So Eric, I don't want to expose you too much, but you might want to reconsider alcohol.
Oh, well, if it was a survival situation, the ox is in the mire. I've got to survive. I don't have to cling to that belief in a survival situation. So, what was it? Were they Argentinian? I forget. The guys that crashed in the plane and then they started eating each other.
Yeah.
Donners? Were they? They weren't American?
No, it was a soccer team, and I want to say it was Spain or Argentine or something. Or
Okay.
but they crashed.
They're done.
Yeah, it was South America.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't hear about that one.
Oh, it's pretty famous. It was back in the 60s or the 70s. They did a movie about it with Ethan Hunt is in it, and I forget Ethan Hawke. Well, I forget who it is, but it's basically they started eating each other. But you ask yourself, if you're in a survival situation, would you start eating each other, that people had died? I don't know if I could bring myself to that, but before they started eating each other, at least I remember in the movie, all they had was wine and chocolate to consume, and I'd have no problems. And so that people know we're not. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, so I don't consume alcohol. So I would drink it if I needed to. It's a good source of sugar and some calories and some hydration too. So nothing wrong with staying alive. I will take alcohol. I will take NyQuil when I'm sick though, because that's good. That's good stuff too, and that's legal.
Dude, it's so easy to backseat quarterback any kind of situation like that. Like,
sure.
And like the Donners, like I was mentioning,
Yeah,
like those.
Party there up there.
What are you gonna do? I was watching a documentary, and they mentioned that and how bad it was. It was actually it was like an American documentary. It was really cool about like how the country got started.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that back in the day and just being like, why don't you guys just go hunt? And then to think about it, it's like it was the dead of winter.
Yeah.
What it's kind of hard to hunt then, and maybe they didn't have guns, like, so you can overhead quarterback that one all you want. So this is the last question.
Up there in north of Ohio?
Yeah, I used to take that route to go to Reno for work. And then I just got tired of the highway. I can't stand the freaking highway in California. So now I take a different route through the mountains and go higher. And I think we get up to one route takes us over 11,000 feet. And that's cool because I've seen snow up there during the summer. That's really cool.
Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah. So last question, and we'll wrap this up. This is pretty cool, man. So I don't know if you guys can read it. I'll read it. Nowadays, with all that technology, how do you guys make distance and avoid being spotted with thermal optics or such at night? So I'm going to let the active duty gentleman get started on that one.
Yeah, well, between thermal and multispectral and night vision and all of the ability technology has brought, and some of it is badass, but a lot of it, if there is already any distance between the observer and who's extremely ineffective, and the most common, of course, out there is going to be NVDs, some sort of aided illumination to help those devices, or some fairly close proximity. It's just not going to do you any good. And thermals, respect, you're going to be the same thing. Especially, again, if there's anything in between her and that person that's being hunted, that's already to your advantage. So using terrain, using vegetation. If somebody's using some really high speed, like multispectral stuff, and they have a pinpoint on you, like there's not that much that you're going to do other than being extremely slow and methodical and using natural foliage to your aid. But how much distance that you already have, even in the games, I think, Eric, at one point in time you were using some thermals, right, or some night vision. Like, does good? If you don't know where to look, if you don't know how close you are to look and to use them, that technology doesn't in and of itself do anything else other than become, just like GPS, one more thing that somebody relies on, as opposed to using analog means and methods of observation.
Yeah, that's a good point. The clues that these Ukrainians are used to launch rockets at tanks right now, That's not a new site, but that thing is so awesome. In 2005 in Ramadi, we would carry those out to OPs with us sometimes to use as observation devices. I don't think, I'm not going to say the distance, but they're awesome sites. So, but then when I did the SERE portion of my sniper class, it's almost exactly what Bill said. They're like, you know, to teach us how to evade and consider all that, they taught us how to be hunters first, because you have to know what your enemy is probably doing and what they know. And that was the one thing. They're like, yeah, we have all this cool technology and stuff, but how do you know where the guy is to begin with? So none of that matters. And then, you know, weather can mess with this stuff too. So then, yeah, like, so this guy's talking about space blankets. I actually did a video to test that. And I did a follow-up video on it too with multiple other things. So I get to plug myself again. Thanks, dude. But yeah, you know, the Taliban, they would try stuff like that. And it usually didn't work because Apaches just have insanely good technology. But like Bill said, if there's a mountain between you and that technology, doesn't matter. If the guy's looking in the wrong direction, it doesn't matter, you know?
Right. Yeah, you're talking about, you know, are there great sensors and systems out there? Stinking lootly. But who has them? Who has the money to be able to use them? And if you find yourself in a position where you're fighting those people, you're kind of up to shit creek. So you're not folks that you be concerned about, whether it's in a bug out scenario or, you know, any normal evasion scenario. Your adversary probably doesn't have access to the specific satellites in the sky to provide high resolution images, and they probably don't have, you know, $10,000 handheld image systems to be able to use against you. So they're going to be using, you know, the drone, the FLIR systems that are out there, which are great, and they work really awesome. But again, if you don't know where to point those things, then it doesn't do you any good. So knowing, like you're talking about, Randall, survivor, you kind of use those things to your advantage of employing those techniques and those tactics.
Yeah, so it took, I mentioned it took Eric a while to pick up the civilian night vision we had. And like once I showed you, especially you have to continuously focus the thing. It's nothing like our night vision, but I think that's a pretty good sight. But anyway, in the next games, we're going to work in some different and hopefully better technology. So just to kind of up the ante a little bit and have it a little more entertaining. You know, I'd love to get a thermal drone if somebody wants to send me a couple grand. Because that would be a cool thing. You know, but I've flown my drone at night. I don't know how thermals will help me take the thing off and land it. So I guess we can play with that once we get to that point. Yeah, thermals, you know, depending on how they are, there's not really any better depth perception. So yeah, all right, so let's wrap this up, guys. I think we're I think we've pretty much hit everything, and I don't want to just drag it out. I know Bill's on a timeline, so everybody, I'll say it again, make sure you go check these guys out. I wanted to work with these guys for a reason, so you can go watch their channels to find out why. They both have awesome stuff. You know, look at Eric's live stream, what he's got going on compared to me and Bill. He's more professional than either of us yahoos. Like,
I don't know. Bill's got a pretty good little studio going. This is, if you don't notice, this is one of these photography backdrops. So
yeah, well, it looks cool. So
on Amazon. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. So where do we find you guys, Eric? How do people go hunt you guys down?
You can follow me at Coleman Outdoors on YouTube, and if you like Instagram, you can go to Coleman, Eric_Coleman_outdoors. That made sense on Instagram. That's it.
All right, Bill. Where you at, Bill?
Stokermatic for me on YouTube, and unfortunately, some joker has both Bill Stoker and Stokermatic on Instagram. So don't use those, because it's not me. They're on It's going to be Stoker Craft.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I made sure to say both of them in the last episode, Stoker-matic, Stoker Craft. And my friends that watched it, they're like, what, did you make a mistake and didn't cut it out of your big professional survival games? I'm like, no, he has two, and I wanted to put them out there. Screw you, man. So yeah, everybody go check them out. We're going to be doing stuff together in the future.
For sure.
I see a big lacking in the outdoor community of collaboration. So Bill actually hit me up first to do a collaboration, and I don't know. Hopefully I repaid him with this one, but he was one of the first guys I thought of. And then me and Eric chatting, I was like, man, this guy's awesome. We got to do some stuff. So you'll see more stuff of us together for sure. I think me and Eric are cooking up something that his crowd's going to hate mine, and my crowd might not like his, but it's going to be freaking fun. So
well, my hope is that they'll actually be sort of a coming together of different genres.
Of the dojos.
Yes. The Eagle Fang and I can't remember what's the Karate Kid thing. Randall, help me out. I know you've watched Karate Kid.
Yeah, man. Cobra Kai and
That's
Fuckface Dojos Incorporated come together. Yeah.
No, what's Miyagi Do? Miyagi Do and Eagle Fang come together, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. See, I'm not nerdy enough. Yeah.
Eagle Fang. That's right.
Yeah, it's Miyagi. Yeah, got it. Thanks, Bill. Yeah, so hopefully, even though we're a little bit on different ends of the spectrum, military, bushcraft folks, and backpackers. I think I'm somewhere in the middle. That's kind of why I liked Randall's stuff, and because I see a lot of benefit from Randall and now even Bill that can transfer into the backpacking outdoorsy folks world. And I don't feel like a hippie, so I'm not carrying my 20-pound bag food. That's including food, water, or base weight 10-pound. I'm not that type of person. So I think again, I'm done. I'm just rambling now.
Dude, the army should make guys follow backpacking YouTubers just to figure out how to make the leaders give a lighter loadout, because
that
when
would
I
help.
talk about the silly crap we carry in the army, it's not up to the soldier. Like, usually your deployment, what you're carrying outside the wire, you can choose a lot of that, but a lot of it in training and stuff, it's not up to you. And it sucks to have a dummy planning your stuff. So the leaders, I think in leadership school, they should make them watch Backpackers, and they'd be like, this guy's going out for like 3 days with 20 pounds on his back. It's impossible. You know, it's like, we carry that on our belt alone, 20 pounds, you know, it's like, and most of it's useless.
Let me say this. If we're willing to leave gazillions of dollars worth of munitions in another country when we leave, just because it's easier, then you don't need a backpack that's going to last through the next 3 world wars. You can get a shittier backpack that maybe might be still as expensive as what the government's going to charge some manufacturer to make it for the military folks, but a little bit lighter backpack, a little bit lighter tent that doesn't last too long, might be better off for you guys in the long run. Because you tell me,
that's going in my phone for I'm gonna plug that into one of the videos soon when we're talking about loadouts and stuff. Okay. Like, what do you guys need a military grade freaking bag for? It's just gonna get left in another country anyway. Like, you don't need those night sights and all that stuff.
That's right. You don't need that Black Hawk helicopter. We'll get another one made.
Yeah. All right. So if you guys are good, man, we'll get out of here. I appreciate y'all's time, and I guess I could say bye too. Everybody, thanks for freaking watching the series, and supporting all this and giving me really good feedback. So I definitely appreciate that. It was a blast, and thanks again to Eric and Bill for coming on here and rambling with me. And like I said, you guys will see us doing more stuff in the future, and hopefully other like-minded people, will hit either one of us up, and we'll all do more stuff together, because I think it's valuable. I've been getting a lot of messages from people, and they're like, you're the first freaking army dude to work with a backpacking type guy. It's like, why not? Should have happened.
Yeah. I think it's good. Like I said, I started watching you because I felt like there was some crossover that at least I could get, and I don't know if I'd bring anything to you, but I think it will eventually be a good thing.
All right, Bill, you got anything else?
No, man.
Closing
y'all
remarks.
just keep grinding. Stay stoked.
Thanks, Bill.
Outstanding. All right, gentlemen, everybody, have a good night if you're over here with me, and have a good day if you're in the States. So